And welcome to the Ruby Tuesday. My name is Ruben, and this is my review for Netflix's original movie, Ludo. From a resurfaced sex tape to a rogue suitcase of money, four wildly different stories overlap at the whims of fate, chance, and one eccentric criminal. So if you've ever played the board game Ludo, you will see a lot of similarities in this. One of the main things that I found really interesting about this was how they tell the story. It's actually incredibly long. It's 2.5 hours long, so do bear that in mind when you go into this. You're going to be in for an epic. When I reached the hour and a half mark, I was sure that the film had finished, and then I paused, and I was like, another hour? Bloody hell. But I wasn't disappointed because I actually thoroughly enjoyed this film. It's quite unique. It's more funny than I was expecting it to be, even though the humor definitely relates to the culture that it's in. But it's still funny. There were still moments that I could relate to myself, even though the culture's obviously not where I live. I really enjoyed watching the comedy as it came to fruition, as the story is being told through these different storylines. And you have four storylines, but there's a few of the side characters that are continuing along with these storylines, and there's a lot of intersecting paths. The storylines cross and diverge multiple times throughout the 2.5 hours. Ultimately, this film is about love and relationships. It's about what love looks like in specifically this culture. What do people think of love? How do you fall in love? Money is a big theme in this film. Some cultures definitely want to marry their daughters into families that are rich. So when they go on dates and things like that, then they will ask them literally on the date, how much do you earn in a month? Where will you be in 5 years? That kind of thing. And so that is played in a part as part of the storytelling, a big part of the culture in this. And so if you don't have a lot of money, then you don't have a lot to offer. And so that is part of the theme and the storyline. And I thought that was really interesting to see what you consider to be love and whether you can push love aside for your future well-being, because sometimes you can grow into love. And there was also the story of what love looks like for youngsters, and I thought all of the stories, the various versions of basically trying to show us relationships in love or not in love, was very interesting. I do love the cinematography as well. I was quite shocked by how great it looked. There is obviously certain colors in the board of Ludo, and you get the red, the yellow, the greens, and that all comes into play. If you look for those storylines, you'll see the color palette depicting those storylines. There are also these two characters that are alongside, and I don't know, I think they're gods of some kind, but they're kind of the narrators of the storyline, and so you travel along with them, and they kind of just tell you, they're trying to get you to agree with what is heaven and hell, who goes to heaven and who goes to hell. So there's these kind of altruistic other themes that are going on along the film, but for the most part it is about love, it's about relationships. And so we see those storylines play out throughout the 2.5 hours long hours. There aren't any Bollywood musical numbers, but there is a lot, and I mean a lot, of music montages to move along the story. So whenever there's a montage, you'll see multiple scenes and multiple storylines converging. You'll see an aspect, it'll cut from one storyline to another, and that's how they kind of move the storylines along. And there's probably about 10 to 15 of those musical montages. Sometimes people sing for a little bit or hum along to the music, or they're drunk at a bar and then they're doing a little bit of dance. There's one particular character that does dance, and so there's no like suddenly a musical video montage number with 100 people dancing. There's none of that, but there is a lot of like MTV-ness. Suddenly there is a montage with a music number that should probably be popular, I guess, in India. Not that I knew any of the musical numbers, but I thought it was very interesting, and I didn't mind it. It really did fit into it. The thing that took me by surprise, and also again did fit, was the score. So not the music, the score. So from the beginning, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Right at the beginning, there is this sequence where somebody gets shot, and the score that goes along with this shot is comedy. It's like slapstick music, like you would see in old movies where it is really slapstick, or early Disney movies. And that is a continuing theme throughout whenever there's like a inciting incident of action that could come across really dark and gritty and bloody and actiony. But instead, they have this complete action slapstick music that goes along with it. And that, for some reason, it really works because, like they said, with the theme of this, it's a dark comedy. And I've never experienced an Indian movie, a dark comedy before. But I have to say, I thought it really worked. I was surprised by how much I enjoyed this. The film didn't drag on too long, but it is too long, if that makes sense. I think they could have shaved probably 20 minutes of this film. They could have rounded it to the 2 hour mark. I do think it outstayed its welcome a bit. I understood what they were trying to do. They had a lot of stories to tell. There's a lot of diverging paths. There's a lot of paths that they had to come bring to a fruition. All those stories. And they also don't finish all of the stories, which I was surprised by, because there's one particular character story that they don't show you what happens. At the end of the film, there is this like, do continue watching the credits, because there's like a fruition of the storylines. You see what has happened to these characters later on, but they never go back to the one character. And I was like, why? He was my favorite character, man. Show us what happened to him. They just don't. So that was like, that's a weird thing to do. But for the most part, I really enjoyed it. So I'm going to give this a film a B. Chat to me in the comments below. What did you think about this film? Had you heard of it? Are you going to give it a go? Does the 2.5 hour mark put you off? You could always watch this in like 2 segments, I guess. And you watch half and then another half. You know, do it in breaks. That might be easier to watch it. I do think they could have shaved time off this, but I did enjoy it. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about this film. Thanks so much for watching, but most of all, until next time, remember, live long and Tuesday.